The Gods of Ancient Egypt, Powers, Myths, and Legends. Introduction. For thousands of years, the gods of ancient Egypt shaped the destiny of a civilization. They were creators, protectors, and destroyers, beings of immense power who watched over the Nile and its people. Their stories blended myth and reality, guiding how Egyptians lived, worshipped, and understood life and death. Today, we journey into the world of Ra, Osiris, Anubis, and the many gods of Egypt to uncover their powers, their myths, and the legends that made them immortal. Chapter 1. Ra, the Sun God. At the very heart of Egyptian mythology was Ra, the Sun God, the supreme creator and ruler of the heavens. To the ancient Egyptians, the rising of the sun was nothing less than proof that life would continue. Each day began with Ra's rebirth as he rose from the eastern horizon, sailing across the sky in his solar bark, casting light and warmth over the land. But Ra was more than a bringer of sunlight. He was seen as the source of all creation. According to myth, Ra emerged from the primordial waters of chaos, known as Nun, at the dawn of time. From his own tears he created mankind, and from his thoughts and words he shaped the gods and the world itself. As the years of Egyptian history passed, Ra became intertwined with other gods. The most famous union was Amun-Ra, a fusion of Ra with the hidden god Amun, worshipped at Thebes. This combination elevated him to the status of king of the gods, the ultimate divine authority. Every night, Ra's journey did not end with the sunset. Instead, he descended into the Duat, the Egyptian underworld. There, he traveled through 12 gates, one for each hour of the night. Along the way, he faced the monstrous serpent Apophis, a cosmic embodiment of chaos who sought to swallow the sun and plunge the world into darkness. Each night, Ra battled Apophis with the help of other gods, such as Set, who in this context played the role of protector rather than destroyer. Victory ensured that the sun would rise again, renewing the cycle of life. The pharaohs of Egypt drew their power from Ra, claiming to be his earthly sons and representatives. Temples such as Heliopolis, the great city of the sun, became centers of Ra's worship. Obelisks with their pointed tips reaching toward the heavens were built as symbols of the sun's rays and eternal light. Interestingly, Ra was also believed to take on different forms during his journey. At sunrise, he appeared as Khepri, the scarab beetle pushing the sun into the sky. At midday, he was Ra in his full power, the blazing sun at its peak. And at sunset, he became Atum, the aged sun setting into the west, symbolizing the completion of life's cycle. Through Ra, the Egyptians explained the very essence of existence: creation, growth, death, and rebirth. He was not just a god of the sun. He was the god of order, kingship, and renewal, the eternal light that triumphed over darkness. Chapter 2. Osiris, God of the Afterlife. If Ra symbolized life and creation, then Osiris embodied death, resurrection, and eternal life. He was one of the most beloved gods of ancient Egypt, revered as the lord of the underworld and the judge of souls. The story of Osiris begins with a legendary myth, the Osiris myth, one of Egypt's most enduring tales. Osiris was once a great king who ruled Egypt with justice and kindness. Under his reign, the land flourished, people learned agriculture, and civilization thrived. But his brother Set, jealous of his power, plotted his downfall. According to legend, Set tricked Osiris into stepping into a beautifully decorated coffin, which he then sealed shut and cast into the Nile. Osiris drowned, and Set scattered his body parts across Egypt. Yet Osiris was not forgotten. His devoted wife and sister Isis, along with her sister Nephthys, searched tirelessly for his remains. Piece by piece, they reassembled his body and used powerful magic to restore him to life, but only in the realm of the dead. From that moment, Osiris became ruler of the Duat, the Egyptian underworld. He presided over the weighing of the heart ceremony, where the hearts of the dead were placed on scales and weighed against the feather of Ma'at, the goddess of truth. If the heart was pure, the soul was welcomed into the field of reeds, a paradise where one could live forever in peace. If it was heavy with sin, it was devoured by the fearsome beast Ammit, ending the soul's existence. Osiris was often depicted as a green-skinned figure symbolizing fertility, rebirth, and vegetation. His white mummy wrappings reflected his role as a god of the dead, while the Atef crown, flanked by ostrich feathers, marked his divine kingship. Osiris also symbolized the cycle of nature. Just as he was resurrected, the Egyptians saw his power in the annual flooding of the Nile, which brought new life to their fields. To them, every harvest was proof of Osiris's eternal victory over death. Temples dedicated to him, such as at Abydos, became major pilgrimage sites where Egyptians from all walks of life prayed for blessings in this life and the next. Festivals reenacted his death and resurrection, reminding people of the promise of eternal life. Osiris was not just a god to be feared, he was a god of hope. For ordinary Egyptians, he represented the belief that death was not the end, but a passage into a new and everlasting existence. Chapter 3. Anubis, guardian of the dead. If Osiris ruled the afterlife, then Anubis was its watchful guardian. Recognizable by his sleek black jackal head, Anubis was one of the oldest and most mysterious gods of Egypt, revered as the protector of the dead and the master of embalming. Anubis's origins trace back to the earliest periods of Egyptian religion, long before Osiris rose to prominence. In fact, early texts suggest that Anubis was once considered the original god of the dead. Over time, his role shifted, but he never lost his importance in funerary rituals. Why the jackal? Egyptians often saw wild jackals prowling around cemeteries at night. To them, this animal became a natural symbol of the boundary between the living and the dead. By giving Anubis the head of a jackal, they believed he would protect graves from desecration and ensure safe passage to the afterlife. Anubis presided over the most sacred ritual of all, mummification. Priests performing the embalming process often wore masks of Anubis, believing they were channeling his divine presence. To the Egyptians, the careful preservation of the body was essential for the soul's survival, and Anubis ensured that every detail was carried out properly. But his role did not end at the tomb. Anubis guided souls through the perilous journey of the Duat, standing beside Osiris at the weighing of the heart ceremony. It was Anubis who placed the deceased's heart on the golden scales, balancing it against the feather of Ma'at. Calm and impartial, he ensured that justice was done. No soul could cheat Anubis. Depictions of Anubis often show him as a sleek black jackal or a man with a jackal's head. His black color did not represent evil. Instead, it symbolized the fertile soil of the Nile and rebirth, linking Anubis with resurrection and eternal life. Temples dedicated specifically to Anubis were rare, but his presence was everywhere in funerary art, amulets, and prayers. His cult was especially strong in Sinopolis, literally city of the dog, where sacred canines were mummified in his honor. For Egyptians, Anubis was not a god of fear, but of protection. He stood as the loyal guardian who ensured that every soul was treated with dignity, guiding them safely to judgment and, hopefully, to eternal peace. Chapter 4. Isis, goddess of magic and motherhood. Among all the gods and goddesses of Egypt, none captured the hearts of the people quite like Isis. Known as the goddess of magic, healing, and motherhood, Isis was both a powerful sorceress and a nurturing protector, embodying qualities that made her deeply relatable across every class of Egyptian society. Isis was the devoted wife of Osiris and the mother of Horus, but she was far more than just a supporting figure. In myth, she was the one who gathered the pieces of Osiris's murdered body, reassembled him, and through her divine magic, brought him back to life long enough to conceive their son. This act of devotion and resurrection defined her as a goddess of loyalty, rebirth, and eternal love. Her magic was said to be so powerful that she even tricked Ra, the great sun god, into revealing his secret name, a feat that gave her unmatched command over divine forces. To the Egyptians, Isis was not just a goddess of ritual. She was the living embodiment of divine wisdom and cunning. But Isis was also the archetype of the mother goddess. Her image, cradling the infant Horus on her lap, became one of the most iconic in Egyptian art. This symbol of maternal care resonated so strongly that it later influenced Christian imagery of the Virgin Mary with baby Jesus. Isis's role extended beyond myth and into everyday life. Women looked to her as a protector in childbirth. Healers invoked her in medical spells, and sailors prayed to her for safe passage across the Nile and even the Mediterranean. She was both a cosmic power and a household guardian. Temples to Isis were built throughout Egypt, with her most famous sanctuary located on Philae Island, where pilgrims traveled to seek her blessings. But her worship didn't stop at Egypt's borders. In fact, Isis became one of the most widely worshipped deities of the ancient world, with temples dedicated to her as far away as Rome, Greece, and even Britain. Her cult survived long after traditional Egyptian religion declined, lasting well into the Roman Empire. To the Egyptians, Isis represented the perfect balance, strength and compassion, magic and motherhood, justice and mercy. She was not just a queen of the gods, she was a goddess for the people. Chapter 5. Horus, the sky god and avenger. Standing tall as one of the most recognizable gods of ancient Egypt is Horus, the falcon-headed sky god. To the Egyptians, Horus was more than just a deity of the heavens. He was the living embodiment of kingship, protection, and divine justice. Horus was the son of Osiris and Isis, born after Isis's magical resurrection of her slain husband. From birth, Horus carried the weight of destiny, to avenge his father's murder and to reclaim the throne of Egypt from the treacherous god Seth, Osiris's jealous brother. The myth of Horus and Seth is one of the most dramatic tales in Egyptian religion. Their conflict, sometimes told as a series of battles lasting 80 years, symbolized the eternal struggle between order and chaos. In these epic duels, Horus often lost an eye, which was later healed by either Thoth or Isis. This sacred symbol became the Eye of Horus, a powerful emblem of healing, protection, and royal authority still recognized around the world today. When Horus finally triumphed over Seth, he was crowned the rightful king of Egypt. From that moment, every pharaoh was seen as the living Horus, the earthly representative of the falcon god, linking the ruler directly to divine power. This idea reinforced the pharaoh's role as protector of Ma'at, the sacred balance of truth, justice, and harmony. But Horus's power went beyond the throne. As the sky god, he was believed to embody the heavens themselves. His right eye represented the sun, his left eye the moon, and his soaring falcon form watched over the land of Egypt from above. Farmers, soldiers, and common people alike prayed to him for guidance, protection, and strength. Temples to Horus, such as the magnificent one at Edfu, became centers of worship and pilgrimage. Here, myths of his battles with Seth were reenacted in grand festivals, reminding the people of the eternal triumph of good over evil. Horus was not only the avenger of his father, but also the guardian of the living. His story of loss, struggle, and ultimate victory gave the Egyptians hope, the assurance that justice would always prevail and that divine order would overcome chaos. Chapter 6. Other major gods and goddesses. While Ra, Osiris, Isis, Anubis, and Horus stood as pillars of the Egyptian pantheon, they were far from alone. Ancient Egypt was home to hundreds of gods and goddesses, each playing a role in the balance of the universe, daily life, and the eternal journey of the soul. One of the most important was Thoth, the ibis-headed god of wisdom, writing, and knowledge. Thoth was said to have invented hieroglyphs, giving the Egyptians the ability to record history, prayers, and spells. He was also the divine judge and scribe in the afterlife, carefully recording the results of the weighing of the heart. Priests, scribes, and scholars revered him as the source of all learning, often calling on him for clarity and truth. Then there was Hathor, the cow-headed or human goddess crowned with a sun disk. Known as the mistress of love, joy, and music, Hathor was beloved by the people for her nurturing and protective qualities. She welcomed the dead into the afterlife, comforted the grieving, and was worshipped by women as a symbol of fertility and motherhood. Her festivals were filled with music, dance, and celebration, bringing moments of joy into daily Egyptian life. On the opposite side of the spectrum stood Sekhmet, the lion-headed goddess of war and destruction. Born from the fiery eye of Ra, Sekhmet embodied his wrath, unleashed upon humanity when they defied the gods. Yet she was also a healer, and her priests were some of the most skilled doctors of the ancient world. To the Egyptians, Sekhmet was both terrifying and essential, a reminder that divine power could destroy, but also protect and restore. Other deities filled specific roles. Sobek, the crocodile god of the Nile, who guarded the river's life-giving waters. Bastet, the cat goddess of home, fertility, and protection. And Maat, the personification of truth, balance, and cosmic order, whose feather decided every soul's fate in the afterlife. Together, this vast family of gods created a world view where every aspect of life, from the flooding of the Nile to birth and death to the rising of the sun, was guided by divine will. For the Egyptians, their gods were not distant figures, but ever-present forces woven into the rhythm of existence. Conclusion. The gods of ancient Egypt were more than stories. They were living symbols of power, justice, and renewal, guardians who shaped the lives of pharaohs and farmers alike. Their myths gave meaning to the cycles of day and night, life and death, order and chaos. And though temples have fallen and statues lie broken in the sand, the legends of Ra, Osiris, Anubis, and the countless gods of Egypt still endure. They remind us that humanity has always looked to the heavens and the mysteries beyond, searching for answers, searching for meaning. If you enjoyed this documentary about the gods of Egypt, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video for more deep dives into ancient Egypt.